Hello, hello, hello. This is Nick Zatuni from Next Gen Daycare. I didn't even notice that we had some of those fancy music instruments with us here in the daycare, and we barely opened it. So maybe your child could be the first one to explore the wonders of the musical instruments that we have in here, right? But again, this is not just to advertise the toys that we have. We are here to talk about educational insights where your children will be able to learn some things that are very important for their cognitive development, such as music, all right, and how we can bring technology to complement that learning while exposing your children to something that they might be doing in the future, right? So when I think about music and technology, I think a lot of those mixers, if you may. When I was younger and would go to parties and I would see DJs, I would see those huge desks full of different types of equipment, and everything was still fairly technological. But if you go and if you like movies like I do nowadays, there's a lot of what we used to call synthesizers, right? Softwares, apps that would be basically producing sounds for specific reasons. And there are movies out there that are completely, the soundtrack of course, made through those softwares that will be able to create specific sounds, right? And then when you put those sounds together, you can have a beautiful symphony, a nice music, and something that will be, imprinted forever in our minds because they were done very well. So yes, music. Very important for any children's development. Of course, relies heavily on hearing, and if you are lucky enough to find something as cute as we had to purchase, of course you're going to be getting a lot of the visual stimulation, the touch, of course, that would allow children to feel different materials. And as we all know, everything starts as basically a bunch of noise, and if the child is interested in developing that, that's when we can fine-tune into something a little bit more reliable for the child, etc., and develop her passion or his passion for music overall. Now, where will we be using music in technology? Same thing. You start children with just whatever musical instruments you have, and then one day you can bring apps like this one that will actually have musical instruments that you can play, all right? And some of those apps actually even show things like letters, like the alphabet, or numbers that will bring the learning of music to the next level, allowing children to learn, of course, about music, but associate the music with specific colors, numbers, and letters. The sound is on. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear it because I'm using my earbuds here, so let's try to get it closer. All right. And we can, of course, as with any music instrument, we can let children just play to make random noises and then allow them to try to understand the harmony that will be existing into this. We can, of course, when we're doing something like this, we can say like, oh, those are metals, or this is a blowing instrument. And it's the same type of learning that would happen in here, right? This app is in specific has many other types, like a xylophone, one of my favorites, right? Where you can, again, play with the letters, play with the colors, and the game does a very good job to try to associate a little bit of the color with a type of sound, like a warmer sound, a little bit deeper, right? Where this is a little bit more of a sharp sound with blue colors that allow children to create a lot of very good associations with it, right? Now, most importantly, what I really enjoy about this is, again, this is an app, free. You can just use it. Your children can play with many different instruments and pretty much everything else that I've been showcasing to you parents in the past few videos. But if you have 2, 3, 4 tablets in the house that you can use, you can actually make a little band with your children, right? And then again, we got this little kit here for a fairly good price, right? And of course it comes with a bunch of musical instruments that would allow you guys to have your own little band. But you can also mix your physical instruments with your technology instruments. And that allows you to create much more complex musics, or just make noise for the sake of making noise, right? The most important part for me in this, and I'm gonna connect this with other teachings that I do for older children, is when I'm creating, for example, games in Scratch or even Scratch Junior. Those apps, they have coding. That's the main purpose of those apps, but they do have a image editing part of the software and a sound editing part of the software. So if a child already has enough knowledge on how those things can work, or at least be exposed to that previously, once a child gets into that little part of the Scratch coding app to create their own experiences, they're gonna have such an easy time. I had students grades 1, 2 that were already musical inclined, and once they saw the sound editing part on Scratch Junior, they immediately knew what would they do in terms of pitch, in terms of volume, in terms of the instruments that would be mixed together, and it made their games much more complex than a child that, for example, had no musical experience whatsoever. All right? So if you ever want to feed the soul of your child with musical instruments, I strongly encourage you to do so. But I also strongly encourage you to expose your children from the regular instruments to electronic instruments and experiences, just so they are aware of what is out there and what they can use. And those skills, who knows, they might be extremely valuable from when they are going to start developing other things, such as Scratch games in many of the clubs that I teach out there, right? I hope you like this video. Please make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ask any questions if you have. I'll make sure to answer them and try to help you to teach your children whatever needed in terms of this journey from regular into technology. And again, they can coexist. It doesn't need to be one or the other. All right? I'll see you in the next video.